If you grew up in America during the 1970s, there was a truck you probably remember without ever remembering its name. You didn't see it in commercials much. You didn't hear people brag about it. But you saw it working. Parked behind warehouses, pulled up beside farms, waiting outside small factories and job sites before sunrise. That truck was often a Dodge D-Series. The Dodge D-Series wasn't the truck people talked about. It was the truck people depended on. In the 1970s, America still ran on physical work. Things were built by hand, fixed on site, moved one load at a time. This was before logistics became invisible, before convenience was expected. If something needed to be done, someone drove a truck there and handled it. The Dodge D-Series was built for exactly that kind of life. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't refined. It wasn't trying to compete for attention. It was built to take abuse and keep going. Early mornings started the same way. Cold air, breath visible, engines turning over slowly. A Dodge D-Series would already be there, parked slightly crooked, bed scratched and dented from years of use. For many workers, this truck was not a choice. It was a necessity. Electricians, carpenters, farmhands, delivery drivers, maintenance crews. Different jobs, same kind of truck. The D-Series carried lumber, tools, fencing, feed, scrap metal, barrels, and anything else that needed to be moved. The bed was never clean, and that was the point. Inside the cab, comfort came second. Bench seats, simple controls, a steering wheel worn smooth by hands that worked all day. You heard the engine clearly. You felt the road. You knew when the truck was loaded heavy. Driving a Dodge D-Series wasn't about smoothness. It was about trust. You trusted it to start. You trusted it to pull. You trusted it not to quit halfway through the day. In the 1970s, reliability wasn't a slogan. It was survival. If the truck didn't work, the job didn't get done. If the job didn't get done, you didn't get paid. The Dodge D-Series understood that role. It didn't hide effort. It showed it. Suspension sagged under weight. Engines strained uphill. Paint faded under sun and work. And still, the truck kept showing up. For many families, the D-Series blurred the line between work life and home life. The same truck that hauled materials during the day brought groceries home at night. It carried kids on the bench seat. It towed trailers on weekends. Children grew up in these trucks. They learned what work looked like by watching it. They saw their parents climb in tired, hands dirty, clothes worn. They learned that effort didn't need explanation. The Dodge D-Series didn't soften those lessons. It reinforced them. This truck didn't represent ambition. It represented responsibility. You didn't buy a D-Series to feel successful. You bought it because things needed to get done. In small towns, the Dodge D-Series was everywhere. At grain elevators, behind repair shops, parked near hardware stores where everyone knew each other. It wasn't admired. It was respected. Not for how it looked, but for how long it lasted. People fixed these trucks themselves. Engines were worked on in driveways. Parts were borrowed. Advice was shared face to face. Knowledge traveled through conversation, not manuals. The Dodge D-Series fit that world. It was simple enough to understand, strong enough to rely on. As the decade went on, trucks began to change. They became more comfortable, more personal, more expressive. But the D-Series stayed plain. It didn't evolve quickly. It didn't reinvent itself. It just kept working. And for a country still held together by people who showed up every day, that was enough. For children growing up around a Dodge D-Series, work wasn't something you were told about. It was something you watched.
Yeah, I got it.
You watched your parents climb into the truck before sunrise. You watched them come home after dark. You learned the rhythm of effort without anyone explaining it. From the bench seat, you saw tired hands on the steering wheel. You smelled oil, dust, sweat, and sometimes coffee that had gone cold hours earlier.
Watch closely now,
The
son.
truck didn't
See how
hide
it
any
moves
of
the
it.
boom out.
The Dodge D-Series made work visible. The cab was loud. The ride was stiff. The road reminded you it was there. This wasn't discomfort for its own sake. It was honesty. You felt the weight when the truck was loaded. You felt the strain when it climbed hills. You felt the engine working because it was working. And that mattered. It taught children that effort had consequences, that things didn't move unless someone moved them. The Dodge D-Series didn't separate life into neat categories. Work and family lived in the same space. Kids sat on vinyl seats next to toolboxes. They rode along to job sites. They waited while repairs were finished. They learned patience. They learned that time was spent, not wasted. For many families, this truck was the backbone of daily survival. It wasn't upgraded often. It wasn't replaced quickly. You kept it running because you had to. And you learned how to fix things along the way. Hoods were opened in driveways. Engines were worked on after dinner.
Watch the truck
Neighbors
on the
stopped
right.
by
Yeah,
to
I
help.
see him. Keep the excavator going.
Knowledge passed hand to hand. The Dodge D-Series belonged to a culture of self-reliance. You didn't call for help unless you had to. You didn't replace things unless they were truly broken. You repaired. You adjusted. You made do. That mindset shaped people. It shaped how they approached problems, how they approached responsibility, how they approached life. The truck didn't offer comfort. It offered capability. And capability mattered more. In small towns, the D-Series was part of the landscape. Parked behind barns, outside feed stores, near job sites where work started early and ended late. People didn't talk about these trucks. They used them. And that use created respect. Not admiration, not nostalgia. Respect. The Dodge D-Series didn't represent success. It represented obligation. You had work to do. People depended on you. And this truck helped you show up. As years passed, trucks began to change. They became smoother, quieter, more comfortable. They started to promise lifestyle instead of labor. The Dodge D-Series didn't belong to that future. It belonged to a time when trucks were judged by what they could carry, not how they made you feel. Eventually, these trucks faded from job sites. They were replaced by newer models with better suspensions and quieter cabs. But something changed with that shift. Work became less visible. Effort became easier to hide. The Dodge D-Series didn't hide effort. It showed it every day. Today, when you see one still running, it feels out of place. Too rough, too plain, too honest. But for those who grew up around them, it feels familiar. It feels like mornings that started early, like hands that didn't complain, like work that didn't ask for recognition. The Dodge D-Series didn't build America alone, but it carried the people who did. It carried tools, materials, and tired bodies. It carried responsibility without complaint. And for a generation that learned the value of work by watching it happen from the passenger seat, that memory still matters. The Dodge D-Series didn't need to be remembered. It just needed to work. And it did.